Good morning, dear students. Today we'll be starting the fourth session in the introductory part of Champu Ramayana for third semester BA, BSc, BCom, BCA, BHM and BBA prescribed by the Bangalore Central University. So in the last class, we were discussing about the Champu literature. Okay, we discussed about the salient features of Champu literature and then how the Champu's literature originated and how it developed and the history of Champu literature and also what is the essence of Champu Ramayana and also Champu Mahabharata, Champu Bharata. So these are the most important things that we discussed in the previous session. And now we are going to discuss in this session, we'll be dealing with 5 important Champu Kavyas, Pancha Champu Kavyani as we call. So among them there are, in this session we will be discussing about 3 of them. One is Neelakanta Vijaya Champu, second one is Vishwagunadarsha Champu and the third one is Nala Champu. Okay. So also about these texts and as well as the authors and the different texts that are written by these authors. Okay, so the session outcome is that the students will be learning about these these three Champu Kavyas, which are the best known among the 5 Champu Kavyas. Prasiddha Champu Kavyani Kavayascha. So the poets or the poeticians have listed 5 important Champu Kavyas as the greatest among the Champu literature, and they are Champu Ramayana of Pujaraja, Champu Bharata of Ananta Bhatta, Neelakanta Vijaya Champu of Neelakanta Dikshita, and then Vishwagunadarsha Champu of Venkatadvari, and lastly Nala Champu of Trivikrama Bhatta. And to start with, we can try to understand about the first Champu Kavya, which is one among the Pancha Champu Kavyas. The first one being Neelakanta Vijaya Champu. So the poet who has written this Champu Kavya is Neelakanta Dikshita. So in this text, Neelakanta Vijaya Champu, the storyline is about Samudra Mathana, the churning of the ocean. So that is the main content or the main vastu, we call it as, of this particular Champu Kavya. And this Champu Kavya is divided into Ashvasas. There are 5 Ashvasas, that is the chapters. The chapters are called as Ashvasas in Champu literature, and there are 5 Ashvasas in this. And to speak about the poet Neelakanta Dikshita, he belongs to the Pandya region, okay, that is the southern India, okay, that is Tamil Nadu. Today we call it as Tamil Nadu. It was ruled by the Pandyas at that particular point of time when he wrote the Kavya, and his date is somewhere around 17th century AD. Pandya-Rajyasya Tirumala Nayakasya Asthana Pandita. There was a king by name Tirumala Nayaka, and this Neelakanta Dikshita was supposedly under the patronage of this king. And he is a great grammarian, Vayyakaranaha, Purvottara Mimamsa Panditaha. He knew about the Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. He was a scholar in that particular field. And he was born to Narayana Dikshita and Bhumi Devi. He was the son of Narayana Dikshita and Bhumi Devi. And there is a Mangala Shloka, which is not important. And to speak about the content or the story of this particular text, Neelakanta Vijaya Champu, in the beginning there is Devendrasya Vaibhavopeta Pradarshanam. In the first Ashvasa, there is a description of the court of Devendra, the king of gods. And then Durvasa Munehe Shapaha, there is also the curse of Durvasa, sage Durvasa. And then there is Devasura Yuddha Varnana, the war between the gods and the demons. And then Brihaspati Shukrayoho Samvadaha, there is a conversation between Brihaspati, who is the guru of the gods, and Shukra, who is the guru of the Rakshasas or the demons. And then Vaikunta Varnana, there is Vaikunta Varnana, and then Samudra Mathana Varnanam. There's also the description of the churning of the ocean, and then Hala Halasya Prakarata. And when there was churning of the ocean, the first thing that came out of the churning was poison, the most poisonous thing called hala hala, and the tikshnata or prakarata of that hala hala is described. And after that there is Parameshwarena Vishapanam. This hala hala is swallowed by Parameshwara, Lord Shiva. And then Amrita Varnana. At the end of it there is the Amrita, which is churned out of the ocean. So these descriptions are found in this particular text. And then also to speak about Nilakanta Dikshita and other works written by him are Shivalila Arnava. It is a very famous Mahakavya, and also there is Gangavatarana and Kali Vidambanam and Shivotkarsha Manjari. So these are the different pieces of poetry that he has written. Altogether there are 32 works written by Nilakanta Dikshita. He is a very great scholar and a great poet of his time, and there is a prashamsa about him that he was very good at Vakrokti Nipuna. Neelakantasya Vakroktihi Sa Mugdendu Kalayate. So there is a prashasti about him. And then there are two particular Vyakhyanas for this particular text, Champu, Neelakanta Vijaya Champu. One is called Pataka Vyakhyana and the other one is called Ganashyamasya Vyakhyana. Then we shall go to the second text called Vishwagunadarsha Champu. This is also a very famous work in Sanskrit, Champu, and the poet who wrote this was Venkatadvari, and it has a totally different theme. This Champu Kavya, Vishwagunadarsha Champu, has a very different theme. It is based on the Badarikashramat Kanchi Paryantam Kshetranam Varnanam. See, this is an aerial view of the whole country, starting from Badarikashrama to Kanchi in the south. Okay, Vishaya Vibhaga, it is in 53 different concepts, 53 different kshetras or geographical places are described from the aerial point of view. And to speak about the poet Venkatadvari, his time is somewhere in the 17th century, and he belongs to the southern part of the country, and his father was Raghunatha Dikshita and mother Sitamba. And he was also a great Vaiyakarani and also a Sri Vaishnavite. So to speak about the story described in Venkatadvari's Vishwagunadarsha Champu, there are two people, two persons, characters in this Kavya. One is Krishanu and another is Vishwavasu. So they are two Gandharvas. They are looking at this earth from the sky. Okay, Vishwa Vaichitrya Nirupanam. So they are describing all the geographical aspects of this earth, traveling by an aerial vehicle, to say. And Desha Nagara Yatrasthala Nadi Vividha Jananga Darshanikanam Parishilanam. So this describe different things, mountains, rivers and cities, and different types of people who live in that particular region. All these descriptions are found in this piece of poetry. Krishanuna Dosha Pradarsanam. So the both of them have two perspectives. One, by name Krishanu, he always finds faults with that particular place, whereas Vishwavasu tries to look at the positive aspects. And Dharmika, Samajika, Artika Paristhitinam Vimarsha. There is also a great deal of description about the religious, social, economic situation of that particular region. So these are the different descriptions that we find in Vishwagunadarsha Champu of Venkatadvari. So to speak about the different works written by Venkatadvari, Hastigiri Champu is another piece of Champu literature. there's Lakshmi Sahasram, Srinivasa Sahasram, Yadava Pandaviyam, Shravananandam, and then Uttara Ramayana Champu. So these are the different kavyas written by him. Sundarani Subhashita Vakyani. There are different Subhashitas that are used which are famous. And then there are two different Vyakyanas for this particular text. One is Kuravirama Prabhakaraha. Madhura Subba Shastri has written another Vyakyana, Bala Krishna Sharma. So these are the different Vyakyanas that are found. So coming to the third important Champu, which is called Nala Champu, which is written by Trivikrama Bhatta. The poet who wrote this Nala Champu is called Trivikrama Bhatta. And as you all know, Nala Champu itself means the story of Nala and Damayanti. So the theme is derived from Mahabharata, Nalopakyana of Mahabharata. And there are 7 Uchvasas in this Nala Champu. To speak about the poet Trivikrama Bhatta, Rashtrakuta Rajasya Tritiya Indrasya Asthana Kavihi. He was the court poet of third, Indra the third, who was one among the Rashtrakuta kings, Rashtrakuta dynasty, and his time was Kristashaka Dashama Shatamanam, 10th century. And he was born to Nemaditya, and he belongs to the Shandilya Gotra. Vidvat Kavihi Shleshalankara Prasiddhascha. So he's famous for his pun, and also he was a scholarly poet. And you all know the story of Nala and Damayanti. Nala Damayantyoho Prema Vicharaha, the love story between Nala and Damayanti. Damayantyaha Swayamvaraha, the Swayamvara of Damayanti, and then Dyutaha Nalasya Parajayam. You know that there was a Dhyuta between him and Pushkara, and Nala loses in the game of dice, and he had to go to the forest. Nalasya Vanavasaha, and then Rutuparna Rajye Vasaha, and in the middle of the forest he leaves Damayanti and goes away thinking that she will go to her native place, and then he goes and joins Rutuparna's kingdom, and there he is looking after the horses, and then later in the last part he gains back his kingdom, Rajya Praptihi, Haricharana Sarojankaha. So the last part of the Kruti. And there are also other works written by Trivikrama Bhatta. Anyakritaya Kaviprashamsa. Anyakruti Madalasa Champu. He wrote one more Champu Kavya by name Madalasa Champu. And then Yamuna Trivikramaha. He is called Yamuna Trivikrama. Okay, he has won that title. And there are different Vyakyanas to Nala Champu. Also Damadara Bhatta, Guna Vinaya Ganihi, and then Chandapalaha, Nagadevahacha. So these are the 4 people who wrote Vyakyanas to Nala Champu of Trivikrama Bhatta. So these are 3 important points about the 3 Champu Kavyas which are famous in Sanskrit literature. So if you have any doubts, you can post the questions to me, and there are MCQs after this in the PPT itself. You can answer those questions and also think about the different points. You can refer to the articles and reference books that are suggested by us, and then please give a reply by answering these questions. So thank you very much. So we shall end this session and get back to you in the next session with the rest of the Pancha Champu Kavyas. There are 2 more Champu Kavyas. We will be resuming the next session with the other 2 Champu Kavyas. Thank you very much for a patient hearing.